Hello, my name is Matt Bennett. I'm the director of band and choir here at South Fremont High School. I have been here in this county for like 30 years. I actually graduated from South Fremont High School in 1998. Well, 99, sorry. Moved into this high school in 98. And I was part of the second graduating class out of this building. So I've seen a lot of things transpire over 30 years and thought I'd share what we're proposing to do with the new auditorium at South Fremont and explain why this was an important step in what these students need to be better musicians, better community members, and better people in the long run. But I'm going to try to do this quickly. This is part of a presentation that I shared with the school board last year, and we decided to go to vote on an auditorium um, this November. So that's the summary of what we're asking for. Um, Payments over 25 years. Yes, the interest is high, and that's how building anything is. But what we're asking for is 17 million to finish the projects that we tried to do 3 years ago. Um, and they built an auxiliary gym, and they're building CTE classrooms and a greenhouse. One of those things that was on that original bond 3 years ago was an auditorium. So that's the only thing we're asking for now. Is the breakdown of the square footage of the proposed project. This is what it would look like. It's just right out the north end of the high school. So right back here is the current band room door. It would go into a hall and then right on stage. Breakdown of the cost. This was 3 years ago cost, and Bateman Hall said that we should increase it to by 8% after it didn't pass 3 years ago, and so it was a 16 million and change. But I wanted to go through the reasons why an auditorium is necessary. It's not just a want; it's a need. We've outgrown both stages. We have not enough room for our audience. The class time that's used to move our equipment is not fair to the students. That we waste a lot of instruction time. Um, some concerns that I've heard about, and then how I see that this could be not only a benefit to our students at South Fremont High School, but to the entire community. This is the dimensions of North Fremont stage. You can see that it's significantly more than South Fremont's, um, deeper and wider, which is good. I mean, that's what they need, and they got the facility that they wanted. Just a quick history: when we didn't pass our original bond for this building in 1997, I think we went to bond 3 times. Each time it was shrunk. The size of the auditorium was minimized to try to save money, which is why we currently have an auditorium in our high school that's doesn't even fit our student body. It only seats 320 students or 320 people. So as I was talking about stage size, this is some numbers that I got offline. What square footage each musician needs, depending on what they play, 10 to 15 square foot per musician, and that's just a brass player, a woodwind player. If they're playing percussion, the need is much bigger. Obviously, a grand piano would take up more space, but we use all of these instruments on every concert that we do, right? Vocalists don't take up as much room. In fact, they have a choir stand that makes it easier for them to perform and doesn't take up as much square footage. But our current stage is 30 feet wide. The opening at the curtain is 40 feet or 30 feet deep by 40. Obviously, we can't use the wings of the stage. So the square footage that we have is this 1,800 square feet. Oh, sorry, minus the wings. So we're looking at 1,200 square feet of usable space. Technically, this apron from the curtain to the edge of the stage shouldn't have performers on it, but because we set up 4 rows for our ensembles, we always are right to the edge. In fact, my clarinets would tell you they have come close to falling off the stage before. Usable space for band from the previous screen is 1,260 square feet. We currently have 58 instrumentalists, 13 percussionists, and that's the square footage that breaks down to. And again, that's using the square feet on the apron in front of the curtain, which was never supposed to happen. These are for high school numbers only, and sixth grade bands typically are even bigger than the high school band. Just depends on the year. We fluctuate with student enrollment, but we're plus or minus 20, 30 students every sixth grade year. So that's a rough draft of what we would have to do to honor that square footage. You can see that we're through the wall, off the stage. It just doesn't work. We can't get deep enough. That doesn't leave room for any percussion or acoustical shells, which kick this sound out back into the audience. So that's an ideal performance space. Says it would take up 2,500 square feet. There's some links here to the Blackfoot Performing Arts Center. I bring up that one just because I knew the director there and kind of saw the process that they went through to get their auditorium. I'll share those links below, and we will let you look at some of those. But their stage size is 100 feet by 40 feet plus 50 feet by 22 feet in front of the curtain. Yeah, they have donor pages, which might be an idea for us to help earn money in the future. But and then a link to their seating. There's the 1,200 seat auditorium, I think. Then the next issue that we have is the audience seating. At a band or a choir event, we have 350 musicians at South Fremont right now. We times that by an average family size, which I think is small for this area, 4 people in their family. That's 1,400 people that want to attend a concert. And if you've been to one, some of you have been stuck standing only. So it's probably true, even if we get a 999 seat auditorium, we would exceed that immediately. But we would also have our own space to schedule more than one event. The problem that we face now is scheduling. If we're using the gym, we get 2 nights, maybe, to set up and have the concert and get out of there before athletics needs the space again. So we would not be able to hold concerts still, but we'd have our own space to spread those concert nights out. Yeah, the December calendar. It's insane with all the basketball and all the things that has to happen in our single gymnasium, and that secondary gym isn't going to solve that problem because it doesn't have any audience seating. We would be using that for practices only. All right, the second example of a auditorium seating shortage is DYW events. Depending on the year, we've got 10 to 20 girls who participate in that. Talking with those who coordinate that event, their guess is right around 60 people per contestant that attend that. I thought that was high, but you think about the high school students that want to support their friends. You think about community people that just come to support their friends or relatives. We're looking at 1,200 people, and I do remember a year where we had to put the overflow for the DYW in the Roxy Theater, and we filled both audience seats Um, but the amount of work it was to broadcast it from one building to another, and setting up sound and equipment and all these things, a lot of people don't understand the work that it takes to make those kind of events happen, and the sound quality is always an issue because we're dealing with an auditorium that was built in the 1960s. Um, Musical events. We host an annual musical at South Fremont High School. Our current seating is 320 students. They run 5 shows, and they fill the house almost every night. That's 1,600 people on average that come to see the show, and some come more than once. But what if they only had to run the show once or twice? The royalty fees for musicals these days is incredible, and they make you pay by the number of nights that you perform it. So currently, our musical budget goes in the hole every year because we run it so many nights, but we don't have the seats to help pay off the royalty fees. It's also something that nobody's ever complained about necessarily, but the director's stipend um, wouldn't have to be increased to the point where it's worth their while to do it if we didn't have to run the show as many nights. Not to mention the square footage that they need on the stage to fit the number of students that are interested in being in the musical. This year's musical cast was cut because they didn't have enough stage room to accommodate the amount of interest in the musical. So you get 40 or 50 students on that stage with only 1,200 square feet. It's pretty difficult to make anything happen without running into each other. Other community events, Cowboy Poets use our auditorium often. The 24th of July musical uses it every summer. Um, I'm sure that some of you have been involved where you were got sent home from the summer musical because there weren't enough seats. My proposal would be that we include some of these center stage events. Center Stage is a organization that puts together professional musicians from at BYU Idaho. They bring in people from all over the world. If we had our own auditorium, we could fill it on a Thursday, and then they perform their center stage event on a Friday. It would bring in revenue to our community and fill our hotels and our restaurants, and Chamber of Commerce could benefit greatly from an auditorium in our community. Um, Pioneer Day currently does 4 performances. We could run 2 or run 4 and triple our seats, our sales. Um, Student body events such as assemblies and instruction from the administrator. Currently, Mr. Hathaway runs 4 different assemblies one per class, because there's not enough room to seat even 2 classes in the auditorium at one time. Veterans Day Assembly is one of our proudest days as at South Fremont High School. The music department puts together some music. We always find an outstanding speaker, and we encourage our students to dress up. I'm always impressed with what they do. They come in their Sunday best, and they show a lot of respect for those veterans. I remember a line of students after a Veterans Day assembly because each student wanted to shake the hands of those veterans. Last year, we tried to hold that event. Well, we've done it a couple of different ways. We held it in the gym one year, and it's hard to contain students. They don't act the same in a gym as they do in an auditorium. So another year, we put all the students in the auditorium at the junior high, but there weren't enough seats to hold both junior high and high school. And so we had an overflow, and we broadcasted into the band room, and all the music performers didn't get a seat in the audience, but um, it was a more reverent event because they were more attentive and behaved better. Um, it's just those kind of things that would not only teach students to act appropriately, um, but also just a way that we can show our respect and bring our community together, not just for Veterans Day, but for a lot of different events. 2025's graduation was roughly 1,500 people. Obviously, that's not going to fit in a 999 auditorium, but we could give out tickets to graduating class members and hold our graduation in an event or in a venue where it's more suited for the occasion. 1,500 people wanted to come out and support our graduates, and they couldn't in a space that was designed for them. Our current Christmas concert is in the gym because we can't move our equipment from from one school to the other in the snow. So I'm not sure this link will work, but I'll share that link. It's a fast forwarded event of us setting up after a basketball game. So we're talking 10 o'clock at night. Students came and helped and set up after a basketball game so that we could have a concert the next day. Um, and there's a lot of scurry before or at the beginning of the event. Students are there to help, but you can see towards the end, it's just me and my kids setting up sound equipment until about midnight, trying to get ready for the next day. Trying to set up an auditorium in a gym is an incredible amount of work that most people don't see or understand. So breakdown of what happened the last couple of years. We got some towers, some ways to carry the sound to the audience. But there was a short in one of the wires and our new towers didn't work. That was the Christmas concert. The movie concert, Mr. Hathaway helped us get 4 towers so that we have 2 for the junior high and 2 for the high school. But we set up extra long, 9 p.m. or so that night. And we got the sound working the next day about 4:30 p.m., 2 hours before the concert started. The sound did work that time for the first time. But it's an incredible amount of work, miles of cords, and just an immense amount of effort to try to get this auditorium set up inside of a gymnasium. At that same event, we had somebody trip on the bleachers because we don't have lights on our aisles, and we do bring down the lights so that we can try to create a auditorium type atmosphere. Parents also complain about the uncomfortable seating in the gymnasium. All right, it's been a few days trying to get everything done. There's just a few more slides on this I'd like to finish up here. This is the hard one for me. That all of the time that it takes to set up for a concert setup at the junior high takes a full week, and that's probably an understatement. There's 5 or 6 trailer loads of equipment that we'll take out. The wear and tear on the equipment as we move it from building to building, but then we have all of our musicians in one space. So we have all choirs, all bands, all in that junior high music room with all of their music and their instruments and their cases and their percussion stuff. And that it's never ending how much stuff we lose and the amount of music that's misplaced. Anyway, it's a nightmare having that many musicians in one space, and that's not to even mention that 3 of our classes overlap each other, and so we're trying to share the space where we're on stage, getting ready for a concert, and one class needs to either just sit and listen or find another place to be. So sometimes we'll send um, the groups to the high school that's not needing the stage that day. Anyway, it's a lot of wasted class time, and I feel bad about students not having that instruction time. But it kind of map it out here. Total wasted time 1,120 minutes, 20 classes. Anyway, we break it down and do the math here. per student, it's $240 or $214 per hour. And then we did the math for just one class, 65 students. That's my high school band, or there's 65 students in the 7th and 8th grade choir too, $1,600. And then if you times that by the 20 years I've been here, this is how much classroom time we've wasted and money for taxpayers. I feel bad for the kids. I don't think there's another teacher in the building that's asked to pack up their entire classroom and move it 4 times a year. Um, this was the equivalent in my head. What is being asked of us is like setting up a basketball court in the middle of a football field and asking us to do that 4 times a year so that we can have a concert. It's not fair to these students. And it's a waste of their production time that they could be getting better. These are concerns that I've heard from around the community. An auditorium at South Fremont means that we'll be combining schools. That's not true. Whether we combine schools or not, it's been a discussion for 60 years in our community. And whether or not we decide to do that is irrelevant, really, because whatever this building is, whether it's a high school or it's a junior high, we still need an auditorium that can hold our student body. And even if it is a junior high with only 3 grade levels, it wouldn't fit our student body. And not to mention the stage size, like we talked about earlier. The longevity of the junior high. Yeah, it's true. It's an old building built in the 1960s. I mean, that's one of our big reasons for needing a new auditorium. However, an engineer was hired to come and look at the longevity of the building and to see if it can continue to stand and be used as a junior high. And the answer was yes. There's a lot of things that needed improvement, and they're working on that. But the junior high will be there for a long time. Costs in Fremont County versus Madison County. This was interesting. They are doing a similar bond in Madison County right now, $17 million for a police station or something. But the taxpayer in Madison County is being asked to pay twice as much. I wonder if I can show you that real quick. So on a $300,000 house, they're being asked to pay $100 annually, whereas in Fremont County, let's see, a $200,000 house in Madison County is 61, which is twice what we're asking Fremont County voters to pay. A property taxable value of $100,000 in Fremont County is $30 annually. In Madison, it's $100,000. So we should feel blessed that we live in this county and that we can get things done for cheaper. And we all pay our way, and we all pay our percentages. And it's true, maybe we don't all have kids that are currently involved in the schools, but we all will benefit from an auditorium in this county. Speaking of which, this is some of the things that we've proposed. Oh, sorry, that's not here. Civic auditorium and other schools auditoriums. That was a question about, is it because our music program's bigger that we need a bigger auditorium? No, not necessarily, because in Idaho Falls School, my buddy taught at Idaho Falls High School with a civic auditorium right out his back door, but they wouldn't let their bands perform in the civic auditorium without paying a rental fee, sometimes to the extent that his band couldn't afford to have a concert in the civic auditorium. So it's true they have a nice auditorium there, but it wasn't dependent upon the school or the school size or the department size. Every school needs an auditorium. This is big too. There is no current bond debt in Fremont County. We've paid off all of our other schools. Now it's time to do one more little project to help us get this auditorium built. Um, most, if not all, surrounding districts have bond debts. That's true. Madison County, Teton County, um, Rigby. I mean, they're all working on paying off some of their newer buildings, and we're in need of that in our county as well. And we talked about that. Fremont County is a $30 per $100,000 house. That's 250 or $2.50 per month. Fremont County property tax. It is a lower tax base than most counties in the state. Those numbers represent Fremont County, and the median for the Fremont County home is almost a $300,000 home. So that's $7.50 per month. These are the things it's cheaper than. What costs more than the bond? All of these things cost more than a bond a month. Start looking at it, it's comical to think about. Netflix is more expensive than what we're asking the bond for people to pay for the bond. And it does benefit the entire county. That's what I was talking about earlier. Community meetings, South Fremont Band, choir, musical performances for all people to come attend. More people would be able to attend in a more comfortable setting. It does and would benefit our Chamber of Commerce. My proposal is that we get connected with the center stage events out of Rexburg, and we fill our auditorium before we send them to Rexburg. So any of these big names that come to Rexburg in their center stage events would be willing to fill our 1,000 seats before they go to Rexburg and add another night to their tour and make another bunch of money for them. But it also fills our hotels, it fills our restaurants. It would benefit our entire Chamber of Commerce here in Fremont County. I think that's the gist of the presentation. I hope we can see that this is not just a want, it's a need. It's something that has been talked about in our county for 30 years. And I've been around, unfortunately or fortunately, for that long. I remember being a junior or a high school student and entering this building and being surprised at what a wonderful facility we had. The gym was going to be amazing. But I distinctly remember stepping in the auditorium and thinking, well, this is not what we need. This is not going to work. And that was 30 years ago. Now it's time to help build a place for these musicians to shine. Thank you.